Welcome to another Saturday. Sunila, like Zomato says in the IPL ads, let's call it Biryani Saturdays because today we are going to talk about biryani and the title of our episode is Biryani Wars. So, welcome Sunila. When we talk about food, the episodes just go crazy. You have more views on YouTube, you have more listens on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But when you have biryani, like, do you have something where you just like having biryani by itself, or is it something like an accompaniment to some curry? What's your take on a biryani?
Hi Neil and hi everyone. And I think to really do justice to a biryani, Neil, you need to have it just by itself. Nothing else for me. Maybe a raita, maybe some yogurt on the side if the biryani is spicy. But otherwise, I think if you really want to make it, give it full justice, have it on its own. Deserves to be had on its own.
Yeah, I quite agree. I think the biryani that you have and the different types of biryanis that are there in the world and in India, which we'll discuss as we go along with this episode, having the biryani by itself does it justice. But what do you think, Sunila, is the difference between a pulao and a biryani? Because with the advent of Zomato and Swiggy, more restaurants are serving biryani. The restaurants that back in the day used to be just popular for one thing now are popular for 100 different things. And when that is the case, a pulao has become a biryani or a biryani has become a pulao, and it's just all over the place. So, what do you think is the difference really about between a biryani and a pulao?
I think Neil, for me, it's really all about the flavors. So for me, I think a pulao is not as flavorful as a biryani is, but I think it's the term is also used interchangeably nowadays, right? A lot of times people say a pulao, but they mean a biryani. They say a biryani and they mean a pulao. But I think the biggest difference that a lot of people say, and I do agree with that, is something that we just mentioned, that a pulao can is usually a side dish and not the main dish, and a biryani really is your main meal. So it can be called a biryani, it can be called a pulao, but I think there is a big difference there because you have to be careful in what you order, and then that's the kind of food you get. Because I think also, Neil, what happens is food travels, right? I mean, when food travels across India and food travels across from one country to the other, the names change, the texture changes, the taste changes. So maybe the same thing can be called a pulao as well. So
So before our episode, I actually did some research on it, right? And
mhm.
in my research, of course, and this is quite self-explanatory. A pulao is when, and as the name suggests, everything is mixed together with the uncooked rice and it's cooked in a pressure cooker, which can also be like a khichdi or like everything's mixed together. And you like were spot on when you said that, it is a side dish. A pulao generally isn't something that you have by itself, but you have it with curry and all of that. Whereas a biryani is a slow process, is a process. I mean, more than the taste of the biryani and what you get at the dining table, I think I really love the process that goes into it. Waking up early if you're making biryani for lunch, deep frying that onion for like an hour and a half, so it gets that crispy like the crispiness that you really want is what goes into a biryani. And then making everything else in some parts of India it is layered, in some parts of India it is mixed, and a whole lot of other things, right? So that is the actual difference between a biryani and a pulao. But you know, as we have been going around India over the years, I have found out there are different types of biryanis that are out there, and that is why aptly named the episode title called Biryani Wars, because like there are the Pani Puri wars, whether do you want to call it a Pani Puri or what was it, a
Puchka,
Puchka or
Puchka,
other things,
Golgappas, so many names.
or
Yeah.
other things. The biryani is also different in different parts of India. So to
Mhm.
start off with, biryani is often associated with meat. But for our vegetarian friends out there, I am going to start off with a vegetarian biryani. So, back in the day, in the Mughal darbars that were there were often the wazirs or different people who were part of the court were actually vegetarian, because there were the Rajputs from Rajasthan who were also part of the Mughal darbars.
Mm.
So there they came up with something where this is a biryani that is vegetarian. They called it the Tihari biryani, and that biryani was made from meat but not served with meat. Now, if you are to think about it today, just think about it as ordering biryani rice from a restaurant. So the Tihari biryani is something that was created for these vegetarian Hindu bookkeepers at the Mughal court. And there are certain Kashmiri influences that are there. So if you were to try it, it is that sort of a biryani. Now, what's your take on a vegetarian biryani, Sunila?
It's just the carbs without the protein. Why would you have it? But keeping that part aside, I think the taste of a biryani, Neil, really is in the meat. I mean, yes, if I had no other choice, I would go in for a vegetarian biryani, because then it's the flavor of the vegetables. And especially, I think the potatoes in the vegetable biryani, or even in the non-veg biryani, when they add the potatoes, I think they get a really nice flavor. And that is the only way I'll eat potatoes, I think. So yeah, it's nice, but when you just say the word biryani, mostly a non-vegetarian biryani is what comes to mind. Of course, a lot of people do prefer to have more of the rice, and I think for them, biryani rice, or tehri biryani as you call it, with the vegetables, with the potatoes, with the mild flavors, I think that it's quite nice as a vegetarian option.
So, here's a trick that I often like try when I'm ordering food from restaurants. See, generally, when you order just one serving of biryani, you get what, three pieces
Yeah,
and rice. And sometimes
yeah,
three pieces aren't enough. Like you said, it's the carbs and the protein. And often most of us want to
yeah,
have the protein more than the carbs and
yeah.
the taste. So, I sometimes order the biryani rice, which is like this tehari biryani, and then I order some tikka and kebabs on the side, and I just mix it all up. Of course, it's not the biryani, but you just have more pieces, right? So that's one trick that I've been using. And whenever, like, I think I really like the Kakori House biryani in Mumbai,
Mm.
because the mutton or the chicken is really soft. They often call themselves the world's softest kebab. So uh, that is something that I often do, because you just get more pieces. So
I think you
that's
might just be, maybe discovering or inventing a new dish out here, Neil. I mean, that's how
maybe.
chicken tikka masala came into being. So, a quick fix for a biryani, and when you're running out of it, maybe to just add a few kebabs in there. I think that's a great way to order, and I'll keep that in mind the next
Yeah.
time I order some
At least
biryani.
if you're a
Yeah.
fitness freak, then that makes sense, right? More protein, less
Yes.
carbs. So
Yeah.
that's there. But we spoke about the tehari biryani.
Mhm.
What comes to your mind? Like, what biryani comes to your mind when we like start talking about a biryani?
I think we have to start the episode with the Hyderabadi biryani. That is something which is just synonymous with the word, right? I mean, and there's a lot of talk of how biryani really came to India, and a lot of people say that it did start in Hyderabad, like the Arabs got it down. That is one theory. The other theory says that it came from Iran, and the name itself, like, is a Persian name. Birin is, it means to fry, and that's how they say it came to India. The others say that it came from a Sanskrit word, Vrahi, and then it got mixed with these Persian names. So there is a lot of ambiguity about how biryani really came to India. But however it did reach Hyderabad, and I think that's where it just burst onto the scene, where people were developing, and they are developing different kinds of biryanis. So they have the kachi biryani and the pakki biryani out there, which is quite amazing, isn't it? I mean,
We'll
just
come to
one
that. Yeah.
state. And every time I think, come on, the last so many times you go to Hyderabad, when have you ever come back without tasting a biryani? I have always gone and had a biryani when I'm in Hyderabad. So I think I would really love to start off with
Oh,
Hyderabad for
I
sure.
I I actually went a step further and got parcel with me back on the flight to
Yes.
Mumbai, because there are many restaurants that give you, like,
Mm.
air safe
Yeah.
biryani packets, and you can just get that, and that's incredible. But in my research, and I totally agree with you, I think the biryani that we see today originated in the kitchens of the Nizam of Hyderabad. And I think the
Right.
Nizam was used to live at the today the palace is called the Taj Falaknuma Palace, right?
Hmm.
That's one of the
That's right.
palaces of the
Yeah.
Nizam. And of course, you've had a great stay there. And what was longest dining table
The
in?
longest dining table. It's called Table 101, and it can seat like more than 100 people at a time. So, if you want a royal dinner, you can rent out the whole place and have a fabulous dinner out there. So, you really feel like royalty at that place.
So yeah, we've discussed that in many episodes before. So
Yes.
let's talk about the pakki and the kachi biryani. Pakki is cooked, kachi is not cooked. But
Right.
if I'm not wrong, what kachi biryani means is that because biryani is a slow cooking process, the meat is not entirely cooked beforehand,
Cook.
but it is
Yeah.
actually mixed with the rice, layered in such a way that the meat is uncooked, but over a process of like 2 hours or 3 hours, or sometimes even longer, the meat is cooked with the rice, and then that becomes that's why it's called the kachi biryani. Whereas the pakki biryani is more so a biryani that is mixed. And when you are in Hyderabad, you often have to like mention which biryani you want because they taste very different. So if you are really in Hyderabad the next time, or if you find a Hyderabadi biryani in Mumbai or any country or city that you are in, make sure you ask them whether it's a pakki or a kachi biryani because they do taste different. And that I will say that, I don't like having any other curry besides it. Like that just by itself along with the raita is incredible. I really like it. Now
Yeah,
that
the
biryani,
kachi
yeah.
biryani Neil will take so much longer to cook. So you're right, it is a slow cooking process, and you really have to be careful when they're cooking it not to burn because things can, I mean, the ingredients can get burnt also
That happens to
easily.
me all the time.
Yeah.
Like
So you have to make sure the vessels are thick enough. And I think that's what they've perfected in Hyderabad. That even though it is raw, it is cooked so slowly and long process of cooking. I think that's amazing.
yeah. Now you mentioned the potatoes, but now let's come to a biryani that shouldn't have potatoes or that
Mhm.
doesn't have potatoes, and that's the Lucknowi biryani. So Audi cuisine is something that is quite famous in the north or in Uttar Pradesh, as we may call it,
Mhm.
and the Lucknowi biryani comes from that, and that's cooked in a dum cooked style, like dum cooked cooking style, right, Sunila?
Right.
So
Right, Neil.
okay, go for it. Like I'll let
No,
you
no,
speak.
go on, and I'll add in later. Yeah.
So if I'm not wrong, like the biryani is cooked in such a way that there is a covering on top. Everything's like sealed in such a way that the steam doesn't go out, and the chicken or the mutton or any meat or vegetables that are there are just cooked again and again over time, right?
That's right. So it's like the slow process of cooking. So where dum means basically the steam. So they kind of seal the whole thing so that you can't. In a way, it's nice, isn't it? Because once you sealed it, you don't have to look at it. You don't have to pay attention to what is going on. Because otherwise, whenever you're cooking something else, you have to keep monitoring it and make sure everything's fine. But with this style of cooking, again on the slow cooker, on a slow cooking method, just seal it and seal it with a dough like you make the chapati atta that we use. You just seal the whole thing and it slow cooks by itself, and it's just so delicious. And yeah, it's there's no potatoes in that one, but I think the flavors of the Audhi cuisine are really quite subtle, and they are just amazing and so distinct. So whenever you're in Lucknow, you have to have the Lucknowi biryani there and keep comparing that. What you like it. Maybe you like it better than a Hyderabadi, maybe not, but definitely try it in Lucknow.
Lucknow also has that street, right? I like
I
where
feel that
street.
is Indore. I think Lucknow
Oh, that
also
is
you do
Indore.
get a lot of street food, but I think the street you're referring to is the Sarafa Bazaar, which is in Indore, and
Ah,
that's like the jewelry market that turns into a street food market at night.
ah.
So that's Indore for you.
So that was Audi cuisine, and then that's Lucknowi biryani. But another biryani that has influences of the Audi style of cooking or the style of biryani, but is slightly sweeter. Which one do you think that is? Because when I refer to sweet, think of fresh water. Think of fresh water. Where do you get freshwater fishes?
And you get the best sweets, I think, in India, and that definitely has to be West Bengal or Kolkata.
Yeah.
So I think the Nizams, when they went to from Awadh or Lucknow to Calcutta, they took the biryani with them, and this is exactly what we mean by it's really interesting how food has been traveling to all different parts of India, and from Awadh it went to Kolkata. But there is most of the stories that I've read said that because meat was not available in Kolkata, or people were a little poor, as compared to they couldn't afford the meat, they started adding potatoes and they started adding, they cooked a different rice and they made it a little sweeter to suit their palate as well. And that's how the Kolkata biryani was born. And I think it's also more yellow than in color as compared to the Lucknowi biryani.
Yeah, so I think the different traits of a Kolkata biryani or the Calcutta biryani as it is
Mm,
called is that it's like it's more on the sweeter side.
sweeter
It's
side,
a
yeah.
little sparing on the spices,
Mm,
and it's something that has been created because in Kolkata you often have a lot of rice and a lot of fish, right? So
yes.
with that sweet water or freshwater fish that is there, I think the biryani acts as a good accompaniment, although I would still have it by itself and not with anything else. So that is the Calcutta biryani.
Yeah,
Where
and
do
that's
we,
exactly what we did. When I was in Kolkata, we went to Arsalan. Like we had one meal, and we said, but we did go to the Chinatown there. We had a Chinese meal. Of course, we had Bengali food, and then we wanted to taste the biryani as well. And we ended up at Arsalan, and it was just delicious. But even for the portions are quite generous, and you can't have anything else. You have to have only the biryani out there.
yeah, where do we go next, do you think? Where should we go next? What biryani
I
comes to
think
mind?
we've spoken of the east, so let's come to the southwest coast of India and let's look at the different South Indian biryanis that we know about, Neil.
Awesome.
You
Well,
know,
I have a favorite restaurant in India, in Mumbai, sorry. It's called Hotel
mhm,
Sunny and it delivers to all parts of Mumbai, literally to all
mhm,
parts of Mumbai, guys. That's in Chembur. And I often have the Kerala biryani over there, which is
mhm,
sweet and would I call it spicy? Maybe spicy, but let's call it sweet and spicy. Famous from the
mhm.
Malabar region. Whenever I go to Kerala, I often try to have at least 1 or 2 meals of the Kerala biryani that is there. But Sunila, do you know what is one difference of the Kerala biryani as compared to the others that are there?
I think Neil, it's the ingredients, right? I mean, when the ingredients change, the food, the taste changes completely. So either it's the condiments or the spices, but I think in Kerala it's the rice, right? They use a different rice because it's the whole area also again has so much rice, and it's their rice that really gives the taste, the very typical distinct taste of the Thalasari biryani. Am I
Yeah,
right?
so it's like, well, I've written this thing down because I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't have remembered it. It's called the Jeera Kasala or the Khaima rice
Mm-hmm.
grain, and it's this indigenous rice variety that is there, but it's not basmati rice to put it simply, and it's like I said, it is often called, like you mentioned right now, the Thalasari biryani or the Kerala biryani that it is famous for, and you get it all across in India, and I think y- you also put it right that the spices are slightly different. So it's, and I, like I mentioned, it's sweet and it's also spicy. So that's also something that you should try. From Kerala, let's go to Tamil Nadu.
Mm-hmm.
And in Tamil Nadu, I haven't had this biryani that often, but I guess once when I was in Tamil Nadu, I had this biryani called the Ambur biryani. And the Ambur biryani is just like a slight variation, but it's different in the way that the meat is actually cooked, where like the meat is soaked in curd and flavored with coriander and mint
It's
and
the
mint.
marination,
Yeah,
right?
the
It's the
marination that
marination
is
that
done.
is different.
But here also the rice is different. The rice here,
Mm.
again, I've written it down because I wouldn't have guessed it or remembered it, is the Siraga Samba rice, which is different to the basmati rice that is there.
And in generally in Tamil Nadu also, they have so much vegetables. Like they have a lot of vegetarian food. So this biryani is actually had with a brinjal curry along with that. So that's like an accompaniment that they say you should have. Though I can't imagine having brinjals with a chicken
Yeah, we've
biryani for
never had
sure.
that, right? Yeah.
Never. It's a combination that we wouldn't think of. But yeah, it seems to go really well out there in Tamil Nadu. So
But then,
next time.
this brings me to an interesting point, Sunila. You mentioned that, I could invent a dish by mixing the kebabs with the rice and all of that.
Mm,
But over a period of time, we have seen different biryanis that have popped up. Well, that today you can't. you can't just say that, okay, I'm having Italian, because in some places you'll probably get a cheese
Mm.
chili Szechuan dosa also in Mumbai, right? So that's why there's different types of biryanis that have come in.
Uh,
And like I remember seeing the chicken tikka biryani, which is famous now, right? Because chicken
uh,
tikka biryani is there. But I remember reading some of these Swiggy menus and going like, okay, there's a chicken chili biryani. What is that now? Are you telling me that the Chinese chicken chili is turned into a biryani, or has the chicken tikka been made in a chicken chili style and then turned into a biryani? No one knows, right? So
uh,
uh, that's why this brinjal thing, okay, maybe, I don't know.
well, you have to try it, right? So the next time we go to Tamil Nadu, we should at least try it once before we, say that it doesn't work or it works. But I've never had the Tamil Nadu biryani, honestly, because every time in Tamil Nadu, you either end up having like a rice plate, which is the most common thing to do, and then you have rice with sambar, rice with rasam, rice with so many other different things, or you have what they call the tiffin meal with the vadas and the idlis and the dosas. So, and then of course, when it comes to non-vegetarian, it's the Chettinad cuisine. So, I haven't tried this biryani, but next time I will. I definitely will try it,
Yeah, it
and
should
with the
be on your
brinjal
list.
curry as well.
It
Yes.
should it should be on your list. But here, let me ask you: at our homes, what is the type of biryani we make?
I think, Neil, it's really no type. It's really is your every home has their own type of biryani, honestly. So it's something that has been passed on over generations from generation to the next generation. So it's really quite flavorful. And what I really enjoy and love about cooking biryani at home is it builds up your appetite, because even if you're going to someone's house and they're cooking biryani, you can have the aroma before you enter the house also, right? So I'm sure like when you're cooking biryani, the neighbors and everyone knows what's cooking today, because it's such an aromatic dish. And like you said, it's like preparation one after the other. You prepare the onions, and then you prepare the meat, and then it starts with the marination. So when you make it at home, of course you try and marinate it one day prior so that the meat really soaks in all the flavors. The rice has to be soaked properly, it has to be cooked properly, layered properly, the right amount of mint, because too much becomes too much, too less does not give the aroma, and the spices and saffron and all of that. So probably less ghee than what you would see in the restaurants, and less butter, of course. uh, but the biryani also has to be the correct amount of moist, right? If it's not moist, again it's not good. And one thing, one trick actually, what I've discovered, Neil, and maybe that might help you and not burn your biryani, is to actually cook it in what you call a slow cooker or a nutri pot. And because if everything is cooked and you're just layering it, you just put it on slow cooking, and over 1 or 2 hours, it just kind of gives you the perfect. The last time I made a mutton biryani, it turned out amazing. So that's something that really works at home when you're doing that.
Well, better invite us the next time you make a mutton biryani, because we will happily pile on and come there.
Definitely. But speaking of biryani, I don't know if you noticed the recent WhatsApp that kind of circulated everywhere, and it spoke of biryani in Malaysia. So I was just thinking that maybe this whole nasi lemak and all of these extensions were also a type of biryani, that kind of, because it's a rice dish with meat at the end of the day. But this place in Selangor called Batang Kali Bamboo Biryani is where they actually cook the biryani rice in a bamboo, and they have this huge meal. They serve it, it's obviously like people of Indian origin, because they serve it on a banana leaf, and that one meal is good for at least 8 people eating good. And you have piles and piles of biryani rice, and they give it to you with chicken, fish, prawns, mutton, you name it, and the meat is there. So again, that's something to keep in mind when you visit Malaysia, to go and try out the bamboo biryani out there.
Yeah, I remember you sending it. Well, I depend on you for WhatsApp forwards because I don't like reading them. But I remember you sending the video, and then they just pour it out, and then I think different meats are put out in different
Place.
sections of the
That's right.
banana leaf, right? Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
like a
A
interesting thing.
pulao, maybe,
Yeah,
but more like a biryani rice
yeah.
with meat.
Let's
Yeah.
not call it a pulao, because in my opinion, a pulao doesn't do justice to a biryani.
You're right. You're
Yeah, right.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's
But
let's
Neil, talking of pulav, I think outside India, the word is often used as pulav, but they mean a biryani. And I actually noticed this it was the last place I expected to have a really good meal, in the sense, have a good biryani. But I was in Baku, Azerbaijan, and we went into a very typical local traditional place, and then he said, you should taste something that is our specialty. And it is, I said, okay. And he said, it is called the Shah Pilaf. So Pilaf stands for pulao. But what came in was this beautiful dish, and it was covered in lavash. So it was like, the dampuk style of cooking that we mentioned. So it was completely covered in wheat. There was a whole layer. And then they kind of cut open that wheat layer, put it aside, and there was nothing but the biryani inside. It was a meat biryani, and I said, hey, this is a biryani. And he told me, no, this is called a Shah Pilaf, or something that the, crown prince kind of liked. So the crown pilaf. And I said, but this is still a biryani. And it was quite delicious, of course, with a little more sweet, because Azerbaijan has a lot more apricots and dried prunes. So there were a lot of dry fruits in it as well, but nevertheless, really tasty. So I think the whole biryani thing extends in India as well and outside India too, but maybe the names are different there. But yeah,
Makes sense. I think, yeah, you're right in many ways. So because we are talking about s- like biryani outside India and pilaf, let's talk about a biryani that became super famous on flights coming out of Pakistan. And I'm talking of the biryani that is coming from the Sindh region, and that is the Sindhi biryani. How is this different, Sunita?
I really don't know. I've never had a Sindhi biryani, Neil, but I'm sure that the Sindh region, and if you see right all the way up to Afghanistan and all of that, some flavors are quite similar, right? So again, the whole of Kashmir and Afghanistan and the whole Middle East has a lot of plums and apricots and a lot of dry fruits. So I guess they do add a lot of that into it. um, I'm not sure if chilies go in. Do chilies go into Sindhi biryani? I think
So
they do.
plums, you said, is right.
Uh-huh.
Chilies also go, chopped chilies. Well, I would say I've had it only once, but that was ordered biryani. So I still don't
Mm,
know how Sindhi biryani tastes like at someone's home. And we have these family friends who have been promising us Sindhi biryani for the longest time, but we still haven't had that. So if they are listening, like they should all think about inviting us for the Sindhi biryani. But yeah, it's now a part of Pakistan, like the Sindh region. The plums and the chopped chilies are a main feature of it. I don't think it's that layered, but it's more so
mm,
mixed together. And yep, like I said, it became one of the most ordered meals or most frequent meals for flights coming out of Pakistan or flying through Pakistan, because the people from Pakistan were really demanding that on a plane. And
mm.
wow, biryani on a plane. Maybe we should do an episode
But
on,
speaking
yeah.
of that, Neil, even on Air India, whenever I've flown to the US, the safest and the most delicious meal has been a biryani, because
The
you're just
yeah,
sure it's going to be great, right? I mean, I don't like to have, I would prefer that over everything else. And I think 2 or 3 times I've had it on the Air India flights, and it's been amazing.
to be
Really
honest,
amazing.
Air India
So,
has incredible food. I have
yeah.
not met anyone like of Indian origin who has come to me and said Air India has really bad food. That food is just incredible. The menu is curated in a super nice way, and like
Yeah.
Air India does a great job
Especially
when it
for
comes.
Indian food. They know
Yeah.
what to do with Indian food. Yeah.
And the other advantage is that you can fly direct to most of the places, right? So that's why I think
Yeah.
that is great. So we spoken about the Sindhi biryani. I think I have the last biryani on my uh, list over here. So that is the Kashmiri biryani, and I think
Mhm.
it would be apt to end the episode on a Kashmiri biryani. So
Mm.
the Kashmiri biryani is a mix of influences from all over India, right? Like because different people have ruled Kashmir at different times, and as a result,
Mm.
that biryani is quite famous. Well, someone is really doing the furniture up at my neighbor's house, and that's why if you hear background noise over here, that's the carpenters upstairs. But the Kashmiri biryani is a mix of influences, like I said. But a biryani that has become famous from Kashmir is the Kashmiri bhuna gosht biryani, which is like bhuna chicken, bhuna gosht as we have it, and it's like the Kashmiri influenced bhuna chicken. Now, I don't particularly know how bhuna chicken is made. Do you have any idea?
Bhuna basically means roasted meal. So, when you really slow roast something for a long time, that is bhuna gosht. But I think it's like what makes things special is the ingredients and the air and the water in that place as well. So, and that is why the same food tastes so different in Amritsar, in Kashmir, in Hyderabad, in Chennai, in Mumbai. It Even if you try and make the same dish, it often tastes different. So I think the Kashmiri biryani, the Kashmiri gosht itself is so tender and so amazing. And add to that the Kashmiri spices, slow roasted, plus the weather. You're in Kashmir, and when you enjoy a Kashmiri gosht, buna gosht there, it is bound to make you feel so amazing.
Yeah, well, I think now that you've said it, and Kashmir is slowly opening again, right? So we'll be soon launching tours for it. So maybe Kashmir could be the next destination that is on the cards. Who knows? But we've spoken about so many biryani levels. But what do you think? How should we end it? Like, do you have? Yeah, I
I'm so
remember you
glad
telling
you
me.
mentioned the gosht biryani because there's something that I read recently and I was so happy to read it. Lamb biryani, gosht is lamb, and lamb biryani is probably the king of all biryanis. And I read a story where Tom Nichols, who is an author and an academic specialist on international affairs in the US, he kind of set Twitter on fire by saying that Indian food is nothing great and it's highly overrated and that he just hates it. And it kind of really set off this big, thing on Twitter where everybody was, of course, fighting back and saying, hey, you haven't tasted the proper Indian food. And Preet Bharara, a US attorney, then challenged him and said, why not come and taste Indian food with me? They did. They went to New York. They not only had an amazing meal, but they did also raise money for COVID for India, which was quite amazing. And at the end of it, Tom Nichols mentioned that he didn't really like butter chicken. He didn't like a few of the Indian dishes, but what completely changed him was the lamb biryani, and he couldn't stop having it. And he kind of just finished off the whole plate. And I'm sure he's now looking up places to have lamb biryani in the US. So I think that's perfect. So wherever we go in the world, biryani is king for sure.
I think if you want to set up like start a Twitter storm, well, choose your words carefully. If you really talk about anything related to Indian food, you are going to set up a Twitter storm, is what I would say. But yeah, the lamb biryani just hits different. And we've been speaking for the last 25 to 30 minutes about biryani. I think, Sunila,
Hmm.
it's lunchtime for us as we are recording this episode. It's a good time to go and order some biryani, maybe. It's,
Yes.
yeah, why
And
not?
lots of choices which one to order.
Yeah, lots of
Yeah,
choices for vegetarians and for non-vegetarians. And if you are
sure.
adventurous, you probably will invent your own biryani. And I think we'll leave you at that. Thank you so much, Sunila, for joining.
Thank
It
you.
was always great to have you. All right, guys, if you're listening to this when the episode comes out on Saturdays, it is a happy biryani Saturday for you, as Zomato says. Take it easy, take care, stay safe, and we will see you next week. Bon appetit.